Welcome to Brandstorm, the podcast that talks to the people behind America's brands. I'm Dan Trzynski, president of Platypus Advertising and Design.
Welcome back, Dan. I missed you last week.
I missed you too.
Oh, thank you.
Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yeah. I'm Nancy Christopher, the PR director at Platypus. Our guests today are out to change perceptions about what most people think about manufacturing, and they're also helping support women in the industry. Please welcome the founders of Women in Marketing in Manufacturing, or WiMiM, Katie Felten and Bridgette Palm. They're both marketing strategists at their company Strategy House. It's great to have you with us. Tell us about your company. How did you guys get together?
Sure. So Bridget and I have been working together about almost 5 years now. We kind of met as we were both looking at opportunities on opposite coasts, and I needed some writing and was just kind of running a consulting company, and we kind of got together there and had a couple of people reach out to us about some social media strategies for their companies, and we developed our playbook and then really realized that we had a company. We're sitting in a fairly large manufacturing company and sitting across the table from their executive team, and we outlined our processes, our plan, everything, and then they're like, well, what's the name of your company? As we hand them our Vistaprint business cards that still had Gmail addresses on them, and I made a joke about it being Katie Felten LLC, the next Harley Davidson, right? And we walked out of that meeting and said, whoa, we need a company because we need mostly an email address and a company name that we could talk to people about. So a couple months later, we had Strategy House. We just hit our 2-year anniversary.
And you're in a great place because Milwaukee is all about manufacturing. Aren't we the second in the nation of manufacturing firms?
And we're closing the gap between us and Indiana. Go Wisconsin.
There we go. So in manufacturing, what is perception versus reality?
So I think that one of the things that we've learned about manufacturing is there's quite a difference between what people think about manufacturing and what it actually is. You know, there's this perception of the industry being dumb, dirty, and dangerous, and that's just not the case anymore today. I think that in the past recent years, manufacturers have invested in really exciting things in a way that they haven't previously, but there hasn't been a lot of marketing for the industry as a whole to change the way that people are thinking about it today.
Yeah, it's gone very digital.
Yes.
All the automation, Internet of Things, robotics. That's a lot of what they're talking about today.
Sure, and with the new Foxconn thing coming on board, they're accelerating the way we think about manufacturing, too. Yeah. I met with a gentleman a few weeks ago, and it's amazing what they're going to be doing down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
How exactly do you help manufacturers?
Sure. So really where we started with this is realizing that a lot of these manufacturing companies have been around for 30, 50, 100 years, and they have a lot of times never really done much marketing. They've really relied on their sales teams over the years to get the word out and things like that. But now as we're truly shifting into the digital age, they're recognizing that, more and more of the buyer's journey is done online, and they're really starting to fall behind. And as the changing of the guard as well, we're noticing in a lot of these organizations that, they're bringing in new CEOs or change agents, and they're really upgrading not only on the factory or the manufacturing side, but also on the business side. They're upgrading their CRM, their ERP systems, and their marketing technology. And a lot of times for the first time, they're hiring someone into a marketing role because they're realizing that with social and the web and digital that they have to be out there and they have to tell their story. I think they're also hearing it on the talent side as well. The younger generation is really looking for quality of work and life balance and things like that. So we really focus on the sales side, really helping them attract the right customers and retain the right customers, as well as attracting and retaining top talent.
Yeah, I would imagine in this economy where it's so robust, retaining and attracting employees is extremely important. So you really do have to tell your story to get the attention that you need from the talent that's out there.
Absolutely. And that's where Strategy House's mission to help change the perception of manufacturing comes in, because what they're struggling to do is convey the already incredible culture that they have. And, I think a lot of manufacturers have really interesting and unique ideas that they're doing, but they don't know how to share that. And they don't know how to get in front of, talent that is looking for a career in a way that draws the right people to them.
You've created an association for women. That's WiMiM, Women in Marketing in Manufacturing. How did that come about?
It really started to come about as we were noticing more of these manufacturing companies were hiring someone into a marketing role, typically for the first time. And we are noticing that they're hiring women. A lot of times young women, not always, but a lot of times they're hiring young women because they're looking for someone that understands technology, right? And then also realizing that that's, if we think about it, right, marketing is a C-suite position that has never been filled in a manufacturing organization. And I feel like looking at that and realizing that there's a lot of opportunity there, but what's been challenging is that it's been an unfilled department. So there's a lot of gaps. So there's an age gap, right? There's a generational gap. There's a departmental gap. They're hiring someone to do things that they don't even know. They're like, oh, social media, digital, our website. And they're like, go do it, right? But there's not a lot of direction because they've never had anybody in that role. So there's a lot of frustrations on both sides. So there's also that strategic versus very tactical as well.
And I would imagine just because traditionally there hasn't been a lot of women in manufacturing, that the people that are getting to fill those spaces don't necessarily have the background in what the company actually does or produces or how it gets done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're one women bands too.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, one
right.
person.
One person departments.
Yeah, so there's a lot of support that they need, and we, started just having some conversations not only with our clients, but as we've gone to different networking things and different events, and talking to women in these marketing roles, and they really feel somewhat isolated.
So how many members does, I can't say it,
It's
so
WiMiM.
it's WiMiM.
Yeah, WiMiM.
WiMiM.
Yes.
Okay.
We have about 35 right now.
Okay.
And it's really
So
been...
it's a startup. It's new.
It absolutely is. Although we have gotten a few people, we've really just been really promoting it on our own LinkedIn, reaching out to some women that we know specifically and inviting them in, making sure that we're getting it right before we really start to spread the word. But we even had someone from New York recently reached out to join the group. So, we're sharing particularly on social and then doing some targeted outreach just as I'm stumbling across women in these roles.
Yeah. And we are keeping it, a little bit exclusive, but as exclusive as the title says, right? You have to be a woman in marketing and manufacturing. The criteria is right there. But particularly because I think the best benefit of it is that it really helps people connect with their peers. And we've really worked to narrow down, what their primary challenges are and give them a platform to kind of share that with each other.
What can they actually learn from you all?
Yeah. So one of the things I think Katie mentioned, their biggest challenge is isolation. And it's really difficult to come into a department that's never existed before, has zero processes, zero documentation or guidance, and then succeed in a way that there's like a growing career path for you. So one of the things, I think the biggest benefit that we offer is peer support from somebody who gets it. Our job or our role, what we see ourselves as is we're connectors, right? We're there to kind of mentor people in this department to figure out how to be successful. But I think the largest benefit is about connection. It's about getting to come to a meeting where you can commiserate with somebody about your challenges, but also you can share your successes because your CEO has no idea how much time goes into that successful email campaign that you have, and so having somebody else who really understands what you do on a day-to-day and can share and share ideas and bounce ideas off of each other, I think that kind of peer connection and support is one of the largest benefits of the group.
Yeah, it's great.
So are you offering specific programs or classes or networking events?
Or give them some tools to work with?
Yeah, so typically Katie and I will pick a topic based on something that somebody's brought to the table. We ask everybody to be pretty transparent with each other and us on what some of their challenges are. So we'll structure a little bit of a discussion around a particular challenge, but then we run it as an issue solving session, right? So everybody comes to the table and says, hey, this is my challenge this month. And we have both an in-person format as well as an online call. We have people who are calling from all over the state, but as Katie mentioned, we've had a couple people from even internationally reach out to us to ask about the group at this point. So we do once a month a call early in the morning, and then we also do a monthly meeting in Milwaukee.
So it's just constant brainstorming, and that's really helpful. Why do you guys think women lag so much behind men in manufacturing? We are just about 50% of the workforce, and yet in manufacturing, there's only 20% or 27% of women in the workforce. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, I think, and honestly, as we're working with more and more of our manufacturing clients, is that people have been in these roles for 20, 25, 30, 40 years sometimes. So there hasn't been a lot of turnover. And think about where we were 40 years ago, 30 years ago for women in these types of roles. So
I was in college.
yeah. And I think also kind of going back to that dumb, dirty, and dangerous, a lot of times also I think that these companies are flying under the radar, right? Like there's 4,000 manufacturing companies in the 7-county region that are over 20 employees. And how many of them do we know about? We don't, right? Like
We
know
no.
we know a handful of them, right? The big ones, Johnson Controls, Rockwell, things like that. But for the most part, we don't know the manufacturing companies that are in an office park, because they don't necessarily do marketing. If we haven't grown up in that environment, we just don't know. And I think that that's a lot of the factor of it. And I think that it's also not just women. It's that they have an aging workforce that's going to turn over 50+% in the next 5 years. So
Wow.
there's a lot that has to happen. And you think, a lot of these people have been there. Like I said, we were just at a meeting last week, and the new CEO had everybody go around and say their role and how long they've been in the business. And we're seeing a pretty significant turnover on the business side of the organization, but on the factory side, like literally 25 to 40 years. And when you think about that, I think that that's part of the factor, and the fact that people just aren't aware of these organizations.
And that's one of the ways that Katie and I have been trying to help change that perception too, is, working with local colleges and things to let students, particularly marketing students, know that there are opportunities for actual careers in marketing at companies like this. Because I think as a marketing graduate, you think I either am going into agency life or you're working for Rockwell, Johnson, Kohl's, right? Any of the large companies in the area. And all of these mid-size manufacturers, all 4,000 of them who are looking, and not to say that they're all looking for marketing, but there's opportunity there. They're all being overlooked by graduates.
How are you working to change the perceptions? Manufacturing is, again, it's been perceived as it's the boys' club.
Right.
And is the industry itself embracing or doing anything about saying open for women?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're totally doing that yet, but I think where we have to start with the shift is you have to see your peers in those roles. So another thing that we do, that we started doing recently, is called Candid Conversations, where we're talking to different people, leaders and emerging leaders in manufacturing organizations, and talking to them about their growth opportunities, talent attraction and retention, and how they're upgrading their technology. And we recently interviewed a young woman too. She's 22 years old. She's out at Sussex IM in the HR department. And she said, I've never would have seen myself in manufacturing, and I'm hearing a lot of these organizations, they're going into schools and things like that, but a lot of times it's the C-suite, right? It's a, no offense, 55-year-old male going in and doing mentoring, and that's great, but sometimes they're not super relatable. So
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, you're looking at me.
I know, right? But part of it is that we, and I feel like Bridgette and I have a good opportunity, like we're young women and we're talking about working in manufacturing and the fact that we see opportunity, and also bringing out some of the women that we know that are now working in manufacturing and helping to share their stories so that other women can see like there is an opportunity here. But I think it's just a lot of times overlooked because we just don't know. It's not even on purpose, right? It's not like you see an opportunity in manufacturing and you go, no, like it doesn't even come on our radar a lot of times.
Yeah, I think too that, one of the other things that's worth mentioning is, Katie mentioned it very early on in the conversation. A lot of these manufacturers are committed to transforming their business. They've been around for 100 years and they're looking at how do we shift the way that we're viewed. They realize the need for, new ideas and kind of fresh input. And as we said, it's not like we're the ones hiring these women into these roles. We're seeing it happen already. And what we've seen is that the women who thrive in those positions, the ones who can kind of build the department on their own, not that they should have to, but if they can, give them 3 to 5 years and they're the chief marketing officer because they're the only person doing it. And
Right.
that is now a woman in a leadership position in manufacturing. And that happened because somebody in their company, typically a CEO, was brought in and was willing to see that this needs to shift. And so that's kind of who we work with. We work with transformational leaders in manufacturing. And I think their largest challenge is they know that they need a change, but they don't know how to direct a marketing department. And that's where I think Katie and I, as mentors, really step in because we speak both languages. We know what the C-suite goals are. We also understand the day-to-day tactical ideas that marketing specialist or whoever comes into the role in an entry-level position has to do. And we bridge that gap to get them started. And once they're there, if they're strategic, they'll grow and thrive and become an actual leader in this company. And that's the thing that gets us really excited about what we're doing.
I would imagine there's got to be, let's say this properly, but a cultural shift that needs to take place in a lot of these firms too, because of the boys club mentality. And it's we've got the marketing girl in the corner over there that's got the Macintosh and she can make that stuff happen to us, where they become an integral part of making this company thrive.
I think that's the biggest perception we battle, right?
Yeah.
They're delegated to T-shirt girl or name badge lady.
Right.
and so shifting the way that the company thinks about marketing to marketing becoming a strategic department that helps drive revenue is one of the things that we do when we help them set up processes.
Well, the name of your association is called Women in Marketing in Manufacturing. Are there any fees to join this organization?
No, not now. We may do something down the road when we maybe do some more strategic roundtables, but right now it's really about support and getting it off the ground. So there's no costs for anyone to join at this time.
I would imagine you could get some support from the manufacturers themselves, hopefully down the line, that when you grow the organization a little bit more, to say you could put on networking events and those types of things too.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, as we said, this has really grown organically. It's come from us having conversations with people at manufacturing events and saying, I'm a single person in a marketing department. And we're like, well, we know someone else like that. We should talk.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea.
And now you're on Brandstorm.
Wow, you've made it.
What's the best way to connect with WiMiM?
Probably on our website, strategyhouse.com, and then there's a tab for WiMiM right on the homepage, and there's an application form. We do have people apply, and then we have conversation, make sure it's the right fit, and understand a little bit more about them and their organization and their growth goals. But if they fit, it's usually pretty clear.
That's great. Bridgette, Katie, thank you so much for coming here today.
Yeah,
It's been
good
great.
luck. I hope this really takes off.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And if you like what you've heard today, please don't forget to share, review, and subscribe to Brandstorm.
This is Dan Trzynski along with Nancy Christopher at Platypus Advertising and Design, an awesome company that creates perceptions that influence choice for a variety of regional, national, and even global brands on a daily basis. We hope you'll join us next week for another episode of Brandstorm.